All right, what's going on, everybody? First of all, I was actually going to do a video about something else, but this video caught my attention. I may still do the other video. I'm not sure yet. I'm a little pressed on time, but I wanted to go ahead and do this response. Right now, look, I don't, you know, no coach like that. I've talked to him, I believe, once on the phone, but and we've done like one collab at one point. Politics, but I am a listener of his channel, right? I do listen to his channel, um, channels on YouTube, and I don't know everybody out there that's not aware of him should check him out. But very powerful video about dealing with and defeating depression, right? Look, I'll refer you to that video if you want to listen to it. I'll put the once this is up, I'll put the link on the description box. But here's my take, man, and hopefully my audio on this live feed is good. I'm in the process of getting my good laptop back. Okay, so that doesn't have this problem with the audio, but we'll see how it goes. All right. So if the audio sucks, I apologize. Um, I think the problem with depression, and this is just again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert, because I'm not. Right. All I could give anybody is my own personal experience. Okay. I'm sure I've had symptoms of depression like he has at some point. I've never been severely depressed. I've never anything like that. Um, but I think the problem with depression is that people don't understand what it is. You know, they have they compare it to sadness, and sadness and depression are two different things. Same thing, right? It's you're sad when you go to a funeral of your grandfather or something. That's sad. Okay, when you go through mourning, because that's being sad. Depression is a whole nother ballpark, a whole nother stratosphere, and it's something far more powerful, and it makes people feel when someone's sad that's an emotion that in general they welcome because it's okay to be sad when something sad happens, when something devastating happens in your life. Okay, like you lose a loved one. Depression comes with depression, whether it's guilt, self guilt. Okay, there's a lot of demons that somebody carries with them, right? It's something far more powerful, and it's something that many people carry for a very, very, very long time. And I unfortunately people that their life, which at one point they had a great life, was utterly destroyed because of depression, right? Some of them have recovered from it, some of them have not, okay, and some of them are unfortunately gone, all right? I had a relationship with someone that unfortunately had to end, and it was all rooted because of that, okay? So I can't, I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't feel comfortable talking about it, especially not on the Hangout, not on YouTube, right? And I'm telling you that, and I think this goes out to people. This is just in general. Um, if you date someone who is depressed, it's completely up to you if they're fighting depression, if you want to stay with them or not. I just think it's important to know what comes with that territory, right? Because I'll tell you right now, the only thing worse than one depressed person is two depressed people. Okay, if you can't handle it, if you cannot handle that fact that person is going through that, because I'm telling you right now, there's going to be moments in that relationship where you're not going to feel loved. Okay, relationship, maybe even days where you're wondering who the fuck is this person? I don't know who this person is. That's the reality. They're still the same person, but they're going through depression. Depression is a very powerful thing. Um, Me personally, let's just say, long story short, it didn't work out, right? And one of the reasons I hung on for too long was because of guilt there. But you should never feel like you should stay in a relationship because you feel guilty, right? And one of the reasons I think a lot of people, like, if you're going to stay in a relationship with someone who is depressed, it should be because you love them, and it should be because you want to, and because you could handle it. Okay, you're going to have to be strong. You're going to have to be. You're going to have your strength and their strength. Like it's double duty basically, right? At times, so they could overcome that. But in my case, it was basically a maybe at another point in our lives, because right now it's not working out. Okay, and it's fine. Um, so I think that's important. I think if there's way too many people that deal with depression this way, right? Or not the people that have the depression, but people that either have family members, close loved ones. And look, people mean well. That it's not always like, they mean bad by it, but like, get over it, or snap out of it, or man up, or just stuff like that. And while willpower plays a role, it's a whole different type of willpower that you need, right? It's not, like, you could just will yourself out of it, if you're strong enough. It's not really that. Like, I've seen people that things going for them. In fact, I don't even have to go anecdotal with this. Look at recently, not that long ago, or not, even though there's some sketchy information about that, I get it, but let's go with the official story for now. I think drugs had a lot to do with this as well, and drugs and depression are not a good mix, by the way, right? But and not just illegal drugs. I'm talking about legal drugs too, right? And no, I'm not a doctor. I'm not someone to come to ask whether or not it should be on any type of antidepressants. Antidepressants work, but they're not going to be the fix. I don't believe that they're not going to fix the problem, right? They'll help you out a little bit. Okay, they're like a crutch that you can use, but I've never seen somebody overcome depression just because they went to a doctor and took pills. In fact, I've seen a lot of horror stories. Before I get to the horror stories, okay? One of my favorite artists of all time, Chris Cornell, recently passed. Now, it caught a lot of people by surprise because a lot of fans would see him at concerts, right? And he was going to be playing in Dallas, Texas, before he passed, right? And everybody, it was just weird to see people, and I understand it because I saw a lot of people leave comments, a lot of his fans, and even people that are not his fans. A lot of them said the same thing. I don't get it. He was married. He had a beautiful wife. He had 2 beautiful children. He was a popular artist. He had millions. He had $50 million in the bank, and his net worth is this, and he's got these houses, and he could do whatever he wants. Every concert, he's got groupies to pick from. He could get any piece of pussy he wants. I mean, this guy, he had the life. I can't believe he did that. Well, that should show people, right, that depression is a powerful thing. Where all the cars, all the money, all that, it just didn't matter. It was irrelevant, right? Now, in his case, I haven't checked the sources yet, but I hear that there was some fresh heroin marks on his arm. So I think drugs had a lot to do with this. But not only that, the legal drug. Another dangerous aspect about depression. Depression is hard as it is, but if diagnosed wrong, right, a lot of these medications that they have people with depression, right, take, the side effects are terrible. Okay. You read the side effects, it's like, why would I take this? Honestly, suicidal thoughts if you take, too many pills. So what happened in the case of Chris Cornell, allegedly, he accidentally took too many pills. He called his wife and let her know. Then he was found dead a couple hours later, right? So a lot of these, pharmaceutical drugs that they give people, and it's not just people with depression, and we're talking people with PTSD, and it's PTSD I know dudes that came back from Iraq, okay, and no, they don't do it legally, but they just smoke some weed, and it treats them a lot better. I'm not saying it's gonna fix the problem or anything. I don't know, but it treats them a lot better than some of the shit I seen some other dudes take for PTSD, because they turn into like a rock, man. They they turn to somebody with no emotion, right? It's they don't know where they are half the time. It's weird, right? It puts them in a state where they're just existing and not living. Makes sense, right? That's what a lot of these drugs do, and it's sad. It's extremely sad to see that is not a very good quality of life. It's not, right? No, well, what gets somebody depressed? Like, I'm not here to give everybody the long list of reasons, right? Be caused by a lot of things, but what I do know is that it's real, and I think a lot of people have to understand that it's not being sad, or it's not being overly emotional. That's not what depression is. Depression also comes in many different forms. There's people that are depressed that don't even know they're depressed. There's many people like that, right? They show it in different forms. It's just like anger, right? I mean, anger is an emotion, but a lot of people are very direct with their anger, and some people are very passive aggressive with their anger. So people display, right, in many cases, depression in different forms, right? But anyway, um, that's what I wanted to say. I mean, here's the other thing about depression, okay? And why I tell people, let's say, right, when you're in mourning, right, and what I mean by that is a family member dies, somebody close to you died, for whatever reason, right? They unfortunately got in a car crash or something, right, and they pass away. They got cancer, they passed away, right? And you lose that person. When you notice that when you're in mourning, like, different people mourn in different ways, okay? So don't get me wrong, but it's like you don't hide that, right? It's not. It's whichever way you're coping with it. It's not something you hide. Okay. Now the exception to this is if somebody's in denial, which does happen. Okay. But aside from that, most people, they mourn and they show the emotion of sadness, right? It's a certain state that they're in. Um, like you just know, right? Um, and depending on the situation, so for example, when my grandmother from my father's side passed away, I knew her when I was little, and yes, it did make me sad, but I didn't cry. I didn't, um, but there was just a feeling that I had, right, that I felt at the funeral. Um, when it comes to depression, somebody could be going through severe depression and give you the impression that they're the happiest person in the world. You can think like, man, this dude, like, he has it all. He's happy. He's always smiling. He's always this. He's always. They give off the emotion of happiness, right? And then you wake up one day and you find out, hey, this dude killed himself. What? Like, yeah, he hung himself, or he slit his wrist, or he did this, he did that. Well, what do you mean? I just saw him the other day. I mean, what do you mean he killed himself? That makes no sense, right? This is why. Now, I personally have known people that have killed themselves, and it's sad and it's unfortunate, right? Um, and when someone killed themselves, it's you do go through a phase of what could I have done. Like, you start going back that timeline, and you start looking for that moment that you could have made a difference, right? You're trying to see if this was a domino effect. At what point could I have stopped that chain reaction? Because there's a guilty feeling there, right? But it's a sad thing, right? Dealing with something like that. Depression is a very powerful thing, right? A lot of depressed people, they, especially like if they go through depression for a long time, they become like, it's honestly like, let's say you know them personally, and they're open with you, so you see the real side of them, and then you check out their social media, and you're like, wow, this person's like the happiest person on earth. Let me tell you, people's statuses on Facebook and Twitter and all that, or the facade they may put on Facebook or on YouTube. Okay, a lot of these faces trolls, right? Especially, I don't care what act they put, right? Not all. Some people are just genuinely happy and put it on Facebook, but I'm just saying, you don't know. You really don't know anybody based off of what you see on social media, right? There's like this weird cloud of mystery, even though we're as open as ever when it comes to social media, right? Okay, there's rain of lies all over, right? It's a cloud of mystery and it rains lies, right? All right, but just want to give a shout out to Coach. That was a very good video, right? And I think this is important. And from the message I got from his video was the message, and it's this. The only person that could pull somebody out of depression is that person themselves, right? And this is the reason I'm telling you this, okay? Friends and significant others, family members, or strangers on here they can be a positive force on somebody's life. They could contribute to helping that person. And there's people that can make the problem worse. So it's easier to make the problem worse than it is to make it better. I'll tell you that right now. That's just the reality of life, okay? It's far easier to demolish something than to build something. It's far easier, right? And it's far easier to be in denial than to deal with the truth. That's the reality of life, right? So if you cannot, and this is a mistake I made, okay? I was in a relationship and I felt like I could fix it. Oh, if I'm nice, if I'm this, if I'm that, if I really show her that I really love her, and if I really go out of my way, and I show her that I'm here for her, that I understand, I can make this all go away, right? Well, it didn't go away. It's just, it doesn't. And me starting off with that thinking is the reason it ultimately didn't work out, right? Okay, because shit happened. So, and it's the same thing with friends. You cannot, you may think, oh, my friend's depressed. I know what to do. Let's just take him out to the strip club, buy a shitload of lap dances from, okay? And he'll be swell, right? He might have a good time. I don't know, right? But the next day, that's not a cure for depression, okay? Like, it's just not. And at a younger age, I thought like that. He can't get over this girl. That's what it is. Let's take him to the bar. She could just meet another girl, and he'll get over her, and this, that, and the third, right? And that's another misconception too. People think it's most depression is because some girl left them, or I can't, maybe that could have triggered it. I don't know, but it's people are depressed for very dark reasons, right? Like it's human beings, right, on Earth, right? When not supervised and when they know nobody's looking, we do some fucked up shit, right? And that's just the reality. Human beings in general do some fucked up shit, right? Grown ass men put their hands on little girls and little boys, right? And stuff like that. Okay, you catch my drift. And people that, you know, it could fuck with people's heads. Okay, never leave your kids with people you don't know. Right? It's simple as that. Right? But people go through different stuff. Okay, and it's when you get to when like you're friends with a depressed person, and especially if you're one of the few people that know they're depressed. Right? Like if somebody's depressed and they give the facade to a lot of people that they're not. Like most people think they're happy. Um, and they let you know they're depressed. That means they trust you. There's a level of trust there. Um, it's very important to. It took a lot out of them to be honest with you, right? So you have to be. Believe me, they have to. If don't fuck that up, right? Because it'll just make it worse. What I mean by that is don't go off and tell the whole world you thinking you're helping, because it's they're gonna lose trust in you and trust in everybody, and then before you know it, they're not gonna tell anybody shit. And that's how a lot of people die, and nobody knows about it, right? So a lot of people have demons, man. A lot of people have demons, and not all of them like that. I mean, I knew a guy that was severely depressed because you know he saw at a very young age his father get burned alive because he was taking people out of like an apartment complex. And he went through severe depression, you know, throughout his life because he felt very guilty that I don't remember the full story, but he felt real guilty that his father had to go in there and save his life and his friends' lives, and because of that, his father got burned alive, right? And you know, it's just he just went through severe depression because of that. He did overcome it. He later became a firefighter, actually. You know, but people deal with things in different ways, right? It's just the way it is. I know some people that were depressed, and there's different levels of depression, by the way, right? But I just know several people that have gone through depression, and sometimes it's just a lot of listening. That's what it is. It's a lot of listening. Because if you start trying to tell them in any way, shape, or form, well, just get over it, or you're going to be greeted with a lot of, you know, people getting defensive and this, that, and the third, right? It's not going to be good. So there you go. Powerful thing. I think a lot of people have to educate themselves about depression, and different levels of depression, and how it just fuck people up, right? Check out the video. All right, I'm out.